My beloved child, stop for a moment, because something about you has changed so deeply that people around you are beginning to notice it, even if you have not fully noticed it yourself. There is a reason certain people have become quieter around you, a reason some conversations suddenly stop when you appear, and a reason someone who once felt comfortable underestimating you has started watching you carefully, because they are beginning to realize that you are becoming far more powerful than they expected. You may have thought your quietness meant weakness, but someone has discovered that your silence carries a strength they cannot easily understand. You have stopped explaining every decision. Stop chasing every person, stop defending yourself against every accusation, and stop revealing every plan before it has time to grow, and that change has made certain people deeply curious about what is happening inside you. They remember the version of you who once tried to make everyone comfortable, the version of you who gave too many chances, answered every question, forgave too quickly, and sometimes stayed silent because you were afraid of losing people, but that version of you is disappearing, and the people who benefited from your old way of living are beginning to feel something they cannot name yet. They can sense that you are no longer desperate to be understood. They can sense that you are no longer waiting for approval. They can sense that you have learned how to walk away without making a scene, and that is what makes you dangerous to the patterns that once controlled you. Not dangerous because you want to hurt anyone, not dangerous because you are filled with anger, not dangerous because you seek revenge. You are becoming a threat to anything that depended on your confusion, your fear, your self-doubt, and your willingness to remain small. And someone close to you has already begun to notice the difference. There was a time when someone could say something about you and you would spend hours wondering whether they were right. There was a time when one person's rejection could make you question your entire worth. There was a time when you could receive silence from someone you loved and immediately assume that you had done something wrong, but something inside you has been healing, and now silence does not control you the way it once did. You have started asking different questions. Instead of asking, "Why don't they choose me?" you are beginning to ask, "Why was I willing to abandon myself just to be chosen?" Instead of asking, "How can I make them understand?" you are beginning to ask, "Why do I need their understanding to know who I am?" And instead of asking, "When will they come back?" you are beginning to ask, "What if I am being prepared for something better?" That shift may look small from the outside, but spiritually and emotionally, it changes everything, because when you stop begging for a place at a table that does not honor you, you become available for a table you never knew was being prepared. When you stop chasing people who keep walking away, you create room for people who know how to stay. When you stop forcing doors open, you begin noticing the doors that are already unlocking. And someone has noticed this transformation. They have noticed that your energy feels different. They have noticed that you speak differently. They have noticed that you do not react to certain things anymore. They have noticed that the same words that once wounded you now seem to pass through you without destroying your peace. And secretly, they are wondering what happened to you. The answer is simple, but the consequences are enormous. You survived. You survived the disappointment. You survived the betrayal. You survived being misunderstood. You survived watching people choose someone else. You survived the nights when your mind would not stop asking questions. You survived the mornings when you had to pretend everything was fine. You survived the moments when you wondered whether your life would ever feel peaceful again, and survival quietly transformed into strength. But there is something else happening now. Your strength is beginning to attract attention. Not everyone will celebrate it. Some people will admire it. Some people will be inspired by it. Some people will become uncomfortable because your growth forces them to look at what they have refused to change inside themselves. This is why you need to be cautious too, not fearful, not suspicious of everyone, but discerning, because when you change, the people around you do not always change with you. Some people will try to pull you back into the version of yourself they understand. They may remind you of your mistakes. They may bring up your past. They may tell you that you have changed, and they will be right. You have changed, but what they may not understand is that you were supposed to change. You were never meant to remain the same person who entered every relationship carrying fear of abandonment. You were never meant to spend your entire life proving that you deserved love. You were never meant to keep shrinking so other people could feel comfortable around you. Something happened recently that revealed this more clearly than anything else. Someone watched you respond to a situation differently than you would have responded in the past. They expected an argument. You gave silence. They expected you to chase. You stepped back. They expected you to become emotional. You remained calm, and that person walked away confused because they had prepared themselves for the old version of you. But the old version of you did not arrive. Instead, they met someone who had learned the value of peace. That moment may have seemed insignificant to you. To them, it was not. It changed their perception of you. They began wondering what else you had changed without telling anyone. And that question has been growing, because there are things you have not announced, plans you have not shared, dreams you have kept private, ideas you have protected from people who might discourage you. And there is wisdom in that. Not every seed needs an audience while it is growing. Sometimes you must protect your vision until it becomes strong enough to survive criticism. Sometimes you must stop announcing every move because too many voices can make you question your own direction. Sometimes your silence is not secrecy. Sometimes your silence is protection, and someone is beginning to realize that you have become much harder to predict. That is why they are watching. They are wondering what you will do next. They are wondering whether you will return to the old relationship. They are wondering whether you will forgive them. They are wondering whether you still care. They are wondering whether you have met someone new. They are wondering whether you have finally moved on, and perhaps the most frightening question for them is whether you have discovered your own worth. Because once you truly discover your worth, certain forms of manipulation stop working. Guilt stops controlling you. Fear stops controlling you. Silence stops controlling you. Rejection stops controlling you. And the need to be accepted by everyone begins to disappear. You are becoming a person who can love deeply without losing yourself. That is a rare kind of strength. You can care about someone and still say no. You can forgive someone and still keep your distance. You can miss someone and still refuse to return to what broke you. You can wish someone happiness without needing to be part of their life. And that level of emotional freedom is exactly what someone did not expect from you. They thought you would always be there. They thought you would always answer. They thought you would always forgive. They thought you would eventually return. But now they are discovering that your heart may be soft, yet your boundaries are becoming stronger. And this is where the unexpected twist begins. The person who is most concerned about your transformation may not be someone who hates you. They may actually care about you deeply. They may be frightened because they can see you changing faster than they can change themselves. They may love you and still feel threatened by your growth. They may want you close and still be afraid that you are becoming too independent. They may admire your strength while secretly wondering whether there is still a place for them in your future. That is why not every strange behavior should be interpreted as hatred. Sometimes people behave strangely because they are confronting their own insecurity. Sometimes distance is not rejection. Sometimes criticism is fear. Sometimes silence is confusion. And sometimes a person becomes cold because they do not know how to approach the new version of you. But you must watch actions. Words can create illusions. Actions reveal intentions. And soon, someone will show you something through their actions that they have been unable to say through words. There is also another reason people may be cautious around you. You are beginning to recognize patterns. You notice what people repeat. You notice who only appears when they need something. You notice who celebrates you privately but undermines you publicly. You notice who asks about your life because they genuinely care and who asks because they are collecting information. You notice who remembers your pain and who remembers only your mistakes. And once you start seeing patterns, it becomes much harder for people to confuse you. That awareness is not bitterness. It is wisdom. Your heart can remain loving while your eyes remain open. You do not have to become cold to become discerning. You do not have to stop trusting people completely.